Welcome to Tokyo Wave, recorded in a live studio in Harajuku, Japan, with your hosts Aaron and Parker. Alright everyone, welcome to episode 74 of Tokyo Wave. We're your hosts, Aaron Randall
and Parker Allen. Today we are joined again by a special guest, Matt Ketchum, Akiya hunter, real estate consultant, event producer, and extreme metal warlock extraordinaire.
On Tokyo Wave, we bring you weekly updates from our studio in Harajuku.
Join us in segments featuring this week's top news,
political happenings,
business,
and other random garbage.
To get us started, here are this week's top news highlights.
Japan Prime Minister Kishida dissolves lower house for October 31st election.
Japan Health Ministry recommends Pfizer shots for young men over lower inflammation risk.
Tochigi breaks free of Japan's least attractive prefecture title, and Gunma government threatens lawsuit. This week in Japan.
All right, let's get started. Japan Prime Minister Kishida dissolves lower house for October 31st election.
Kyoto News has reported that Japan's new Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, dissolved the lower house of representatives on October 14th for an October 31st general election that he said will set a course for the country's future as he seeks a public mandate for his government launched just last week.
The election must be held as the current term of lower house members expires on October 21st, and the Liberal Democratic Party, led by Kishida, is seeking to secure a majority with its coalition partner Komeito in the powerful lower chamber to better cope with COVID-19 and rejuvenate the economy, which has been severely damaged by it.
Opposition parties, still scrambling to form a joint front ahead of the election, are ratcheting up pressure on Kishida, who they see as inconsistent on his policy agenda, after he backpedaled on his suggestion of raising the capital gains tax, which had hurt investor sentiment.
And hurt indeed. The day he said that, the Nikkei went wah, wah.
Wow.
Yeah, making a stronger middle class sounds sexy, but those rich people, they sure don't like the sound of that higher tax.
But I guess he's kind of going against the grain because, most people in politics, they, campaign for stronger middle class. And as soon as they get elected, they immediately cancel all of that and continue, making the rich richer and the poor poorer.
Nothing to see here. Move along, please.
All right, up next, Japan Health Ministry recommends Pfizer shots for young men over lower inflammation risk.
The Mainichi has learned that Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare intends to recommend that males aged 12 to 29 take Pfizer's coronavirus vaccines on the grounds that Moderna's shots present the demographic with a slight risk of inflammation, including to the heart muscle.
The ministry also intends to encourage young men who first had a Moderna shot to receive the Pfizer vaccine for their second. The matter was discussed at an October 15th expert panel.
Sweden has suspended Moderna vaccines for people aged 30 and under due to concerns they could cause heart muscle inflammation and other issues. Hard not to make a joke about that. Similarly, Denmark has also halted Moderna for those under the age of 18.
According to recent Japanese media reports, heart muscle inflammation and other issues were suspected among men in their 20s receiving Moderna vaccines at a frequency of 10.4 per 1 million shots and at 14.5 per 1 million amongst boys aged 12 to 19. In contrast, Pfizer vaccines had an occurrence rate of 8.15 among men in their 20s and 1.3 among boys aged 12 to 19.
So yes, in the tone of YMCA, young men, get the Pfizer.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of been the thing, right? Like all the bad news has been about the other vaccines. Pfizer has not really had a lot of bad news come out.
Even Dave Chappelle made a joke about it, getting Johnson & Johnson, the...
Yeah. In America, it's a big joke. I don't know why, but yeah.
And up next, Tochigi breaks free of Japan's least attractive prefecture title, and Gunma's governor threatens lawsuit.
The Mainichi has also reported that 2021's prefectural attraction rankings are in, and East Japan's Tochigi Prefecture has escaped the black mark of being ranked least appealing among Japan's 47 prefectures after receiving the title for the first time in 2020.
So Tochigi came in 41st in the 2021 list announced by private think tank Brand Research Institute on October 9th. Neighboring Ibaraki found itself in last place again for the 11th time since the survey's 2009 launch.
A statement from Tochigi Governor Tomikazu Fukuda read, "Regardless of the results, we will work on strengthening our brand by refining local resources and proactively engaging with messaging in 3 strategic fields: selling prefectural products, attracting tourists, and encouraging people to sell their organs."
So Tochigi launched policies in 2016 to raise its rank, but instead it was ranked 46th in 2016, one above rock bottom, or Ibaraki territory as it's referred to. When the governor of Tochigi heard that they were last in 2020, Governor Fukuda reportedly failed to hide his shock, saying, "I couldn't help shouting, 'What?'"
The screenshot shows the website for a Tochigi prefectural government project that has a title roughly translating to Tochigi Prefecture, starting from the bottom.
Also, the governor of Gunma Prefecture, Ichita Yamamoto, who is ranked 44 in this year's ranking, stated vehement opposition to the ranking, stating at a press conference on April the 14th that the data is not well founded and may have a negative impact on our image. We are considering legal action.
The survey company has responded by saying that,
"Yeah, this is slander. Bro should up his game before he starts talking trash."
Yeah, well, tell it to the judge.
Alright, and up next we have a special interview with Matt Ketchum, the Akiya hunter, real estate consultant, event producer, and extreme metal curator.
You're now listening to Tokyo Wave.
Originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Matt moved to Japan in 2009 to teach English in Miyako, a small port town in Iwate. Matt was enamored with Inaka life, but then on March 11, 2011, he had to evacuate from the devastating tsunami that left him homeless.
After 2 months of organizing response teams in Miyako, Matt is now disrupting rural real estate from his evil goat farm lair as co-founder of real estate consultancy Akiya and Inaka.
Matt is also a black metal warlock, booker, tour manager, and general hellraiser. Matt, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you very much for having me once again.
So, Matt, how are the goats and monkeys these days?
Oh, actually, last night, I texted Parker at like midnight because there was this fucking monkey on my roof just going ape shit.
No way.
Yeah. And it was weird too because I didn't see it. All I could hear it was here, like I could only hear it screaming. Right. And so actually, it might not have been a monkey. I'm not really sure what it was, but monkey is a good guess. So they're doing all right, I think.
Do you have any friends who sound like monkeys?
No, I had to think for a second, but no, I don't think I do.
Well, he texted me and I texted him immediately back. Have you tried giving it whiskey?
Oh, does that work?
That placated yes, it does.
Is this something in Inaka to get rid of the escaped monkeys? You give them a whiskey?
Well, I do have the squirt guns full of vinegar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you let us know.
Don't tell Peter about that.
Yeah, the goats are good. Might be getting a few more. There's a new revelation that we can also get horses.
Ooh.
So this is now part of the conversation. And it's reasonable. Like one of my friends grew up with horses. She knows how to raise horses. And she was like, actually, it's like, yeah, they're big, but so long as you have land to put them on and there's enough grass, like it's pretty much good to go. And there's 2 people in Yugawara who already have horses, one of which you can rent and ride on the beach if you want.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so I think that actually, like, it's realistic to believe that in the near future there might be some horses in my life.
I can just imagine you like decked out in your black metal warlock regalia, going down the streets of Yugawara on a dark horse.
On the beach, man. like just, with flowing long locks and just like, I'll probably have to work out a little bit more.
You gotta put some amps on the horse so that you can have like good theme music.
Yeah, so that's exciting these days.
So I guess like get a place in Akiya or get a place in Inaka, and it's just the gift that keeps on giving. You get
It does
goats,
seem like this.
horses.
I mean, goats honestly seemed out of reach even a year ago, but
So soon you'll be able to answer the age-old question: can you kick a gift horse in the mouth?
well, actually that's one question. The other question though is whether or not horses can actually surf.
Do you need like, okay, this is Japan, right? You need like shikaku qualifications or certifications for everything. But for what you're doing, like with these goats and horses, do you need like some
A
kind
horse
of,
license?
Yeah, a horse license.
I don't know. I would imagine that if you're like turning it into a bit like it's a ride, like horse riding business, then you probably would need. But if you're just like, I got a horse.
You have to go get certified by the Pony Institute of Japan.
I feel like you don't need a license just to have. You probably need a license to like do stuff with it, but I should probably look into this.
No, I mean it just sounds like this is one.
No, but seriously, like if I get a horse, at least once I am going to ride it from Yugawara to Tokyo.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
Life is good. Speaking of good life, I actually just spent about a week down in Oita in the Kunisaki Peninsula. Talking with the Paul Christie is his name, the CEO of Walk Japan, which is a pretty old, I think they've been operating for like 30 years or so, but older and quite well respected travel company. And so they're kind of headquartered down in Oita, and they like what we're doing. And with Akiya and Inakan, he was kind of just like, yo, dude, you should come down and hang out and I can show you some stuff and, have a good time. And we did at Oita. I don't know if have you ever been?
No, I haven't.
Do you even know
so
where it
Matt
is?
told me he was going to Oita, and I'm like, what's down there? That's like pretty far away from, everything.
Yeah.
And he just showed me this picture of his ride at the airport, and it's like this vintage Morgan sports car. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's right.
is there any space to put your bags? And Matt was like, no.
Yeah, not really. There was just enough space for what I had brought. But yeah, that was great because I just got off the plane and here's this like really vintage sports car, just like boop boop, like let's go. And so it's like a 20-minute or so drive from the airport to where they're located in Kitsuki, is the name of the village. It's not a city where we were staying, but we were kind of just exploring. I met a whole bunch of Akiya owners who are kind of renovating just like they were living there. Or there was this other guy, Tetsuo, who he's a surfer and a diver and all this stuff. And he ended up buying, this is a proper beach house, as in it's on the beach. It's not a 5-minute walk from it is the beach. And he's fixing that up into has fixed it up into an Airbnb. And actually on the newsletter we just released today, I featured a link to go check out what he's doing. It's called Nada Midoriso. That was just spectacular. So yeah, there was a whole bunch of cool stuff. I went to a bunch of Buddhist temples. I almost killed myself a few times on mountaintops.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there's a temple to help with the funeral ceremony nearby.
Oh, there's a bunch of them. And driving around there too was because I had a gym. I love jimneys. I think I want.
You need a jimny.
I need a jimny. I need a jimny, and then I also want Jimny to sponsor what we do.
For our uneducated listeners, a Suzuki Jimny is like the tiny version of a Land Rover. It really is an awesome K-size, so tiny 660 cc's, but it is a beast. And because it's narrow, you can go down all of those crazy dirt roads that regular cars can't go down.
And probably you can ascend along the mountaintops, right? Those really like narrow roads.
Oh yeah. No, I went to, so there were a bunch of maps or like things on maps, destinations, let's call them, that I wanted to go to, but the roads in Oita are just like, they're wild.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I basically, and I am want to do this, instead of actually looking for directions, I just kind of like, okay, it's over in this area. I'm just going to go that way. And definitely got myself into some very hairy situations on mountaintop roads in the middle of the forest at dusk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like, I remember I've got a video of one of them. I just randomly, stumbled upon this temple called, what was it? Shiroyama Inari Jinja, I think. Super mountaintop, nothing at all around it. And I was like, all right, I'm here. This looks neat, but like it's dusk and I don't know where I am. And I'm in the middle of the forest. And there's some very loud sounds coming from the trees. And I don't know what those are. So I documented me being brave for a little bit, but then finally I was just like, you know what? Like, all right, we got to go back.
Damn. Did you get a good sound recording of that?
I mean, it's not bad. That's actually another thing. Did I tell you about the NFT thing?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So with sound, because I have a field recorder, right? Like a Zoom H6, which is surprisingly high quality. Mm-hmm. And so I just generally do field recordings, right? Of whatever. And so I did get really good sound recordings of like babbling brooks and the wind in the trees.
Ooh.
And this crazy like possum looking thing snarling at me. But the fun, just like to screw, because I just like screwing around with technology. And everybody's talking about NFTs. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, fine. You know what? Let's fucking put Enoch on the blockchain and make like audio field recording NFTs of rural Japan at night.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And so now.
So when are the babbling book bros going to hop on that train?
Yeah, hopefully soon, because they sure haven't yet.
So, Matt, I saw you were recently featured on YouTuber Tokyo Llama's channel.
Oh, yeah, that was a great time. That was actually on my birthday. We filmed that.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. He's a very well established YouTuber who bought a kominka out in Ibaraki, I think 3 years ago or so. I believe he said it was around 3 million yen that he bought it for. And I think he spent probably around like another 1.5 or so fixing it up over the years. But I mean, he's documenting this whole process and kind of the lifestyle that goes along with it on YouTube pretty successfully. And a while ago, he reached out to us and was just like, hey, I noticed what you're doing. Good work. I thought it might be kind of fun if, we hang out. I was a little bit starstruck actually, because I've been aware of him for a while. So I was like, oh my God, we're doing something right. He noticed.
The llamas.
Yeah, right.
Another animal to add to the menagerie.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you're correct. Yeah, so he contacted us, super friendly guy. We ended up setting the date. We went out to the Nagara place out in Chiba that I've been before and kind of worked with some of the properties, one of the properties that we've previously gone to, and then another one that we had not been to before, and just made a day of it. We met up with the local municipality again, as nice as ever. We got a really good lunch over at what's it called, Daiichi no Megumi. It was really cool. And yeah, then the second house that we went to was like, I'm kind of pleased with how crappy it was, because I do think that. Like, it's very important, I think, for us from a business and kind of narrative structure point of view to not just say, oh my God, here's all these awesome Akiya. Like, I do want to show them this shit, right? Just to have kind of the proper dynamism of that reflects, the reality, which is that honestly, most of them are shit, right?
So the pinnacle of this video is you see the second house, and one of the first scenes is you can actually see a mannequin. I think like the sort of the heads that they use like hairdressers, and it's been shaven, and it's hanging by its neck from a rope.
I think it was a noose, like an actual
like a noose.
Wow.
Yeah. So that
in
was,
a property that's being shown.
Yeah, that was good and spooky.
That's a new definition to staging.
Who put that there? The realtor, the previous owner?
I don't know, man. I mean, that's the thing. You just find these weird ass, like not all the time, but often enough, it's just like, what the fuck?
Did the realtors I don't know. This is just me guessing. Did they find out some foreigners were coming by and they're like, yeah, put up the thing with the noose?
No, I doubt that. I doubt that. But yeah, it is. But it also reflects too, like, yo, representative of the property. Like, you probably don't want to have, like, what are you doing? Like, if you're not going to clean the place, okay, that might be a big job, but at least take the suicide head down.
Hide the noose.
Right? Don't feature that. That's not a good thing.
So today we want to talk a little bit about nostalgic video games. So Matt, when you think of a truly nostalgic Japanese video game, what's your poison?
Final Fantasy VI, 100%. That was a very, very, very good game. I have quite good memories of that.
Specifically, what makes it special for you?
The openness of the world. The story itself was also like they just took it to a different level, because prior to that I'd only played RPGs that are like, it's basically like a Super Mario kind of like rescue the princess, like Link sort of stuff, which I always just thought was like, okay, I've heard this a bunch of times. Why is this interesting? But Final Fantasy VI, just like, it was an actual story. It wasn't just like, what would you call it? Like a plot device. And too, like, I remember, like, there's some spoilers that I could maybe give, but I won't. But there's like a part in the game where it's like, wait, whoa, what? Like, that just happened? And it just completely threw me for a loop. And so really, like, honestly, it was the storytelling. That was good. The character design was great. I actually have it, by, what's his name? Yoshitaka Amano. The character designer is an exceedingly talented artist. Then there were like the hidden characters too that I didn't even know about until somebody just told me. I was like, Umato, what are you talking about? Then you have to go on these crazy quests and everything. So it was just like a really excellent storytelling experience that was very like multifaceted and, you know, like emotional, really. Like there were a lot of good things that happened in it.
From what I can remember, 6, had the airships, had the crazy narrative storytelling kind of plot twists, the hidden characters. And a lot of people know Final Fantasy VII, but a lot of this was really seeded in 6, I think.
Yeah. And I'm actually like relatively, or just like very strongly opinionated against Final Fantasy VII, because I feel like a lot, like it sort of distracts from the real good shit, which was 6.
Right.
Not that 7 was bad. 7 was good, but.
So Aaron, vintage Japanese video games, nostalgia, what's your poison?
So actually recently on the PS3, I got a virtual console. So you can actually buy old PS1 games. Any PS1 JRPGs, that's my poison. Xenogear.
Xeno-fucking-Gears.
Yes, Xenogears.
Yes.
Dude. So I got Xenogears recently. I started playing it. I was in the main town like for an entire day just because of the music.
Yeah, the music was phenomenal.
The music is insane. It's like I actually can hear it in my head, like that. And
No,
Final
I
Fantasy
can
VI
remember
also.
it. Yeah,
music. Oh my god, the OSTs on those.
That was my second choice too, and the only reason I went for 6 is because it was on Super Nintendo.
You know, a classic game that I didn't play a lot as a kid but got into recently was a Brave Fencer Musashi.
I remember that. I don't have super fond memories of it, but I remember enjoying it.
It's really cool. It was like it had like the kind of 3D, kind of like Mario 64 style 3D, but kind of action adventure combat. That was a cool game.
Isn't it crazy that these games are like, almost 30 years old now?
What's even crazier is the people who made those games are still the ones making all the big games. Like there hasn't been like a passing of the torch.
Kojima is stealing all that gold for himself.
Kojima, Uematsu. I mean, there's a lot of other really good music composers that are helping work, like for Square and everything, and kind of have tried to take what Uematsu did and bring it into like modern games. But really, like if you look at like all the remasters that are coming out of games that we're talking about now, like I think what they did 6 on a Nintendo DS.
So I have it on my phone, and it's an abomination.
Yeah. So a lot of those projects though still are being directed and managed by the original creators.
You know, I hate this shit. I'll be just blunt. I fucking hate all of these remakes. Because you know what it reminds me of? George fucking Lucas and remastering the original
Star Wars Episode 105.
Yeah, like, yo, dipshit, you didn't need the explosion ring around the Death Star or whatever. I'm still going to give you my fucking money, but like, that's meaningless.
I have to add in these animals.
It's like poetry.
These big dinosaurs are going to come out and make a roar sound.
Fuck you, George.
Well, before we go down another rabbit hole, I want to talk about my biggest nostalgic video game and all of the remakes that are happening. One that's not happening is my favorite game, Jet Grind Radio or Jet Set Radio.
Yes.
And
Jet
I mean,
Set
the
That's a good one.
music
was good.
Yeah. Oh my God. And so I got super into this game when it came out, which is, oh my God, more than 20 years ago now. And it was amazing because the environments, the cell shading.
That was
which,
the first cell shaded game.
I mean, Dreamcast, really, it died too
platform.
soon. That
Yeah,
was
it
such
really
a cool
did.
console. But with Jet Grind Radio, the thing that it brought me into, and I still continue to enjoy, is it introduced to a whole new audience Japanese underground electro. And literally, I don't know how they did it, but they had all of these indie artists that nobody have ever heard of making these sick tracks. And as soon as I came over to Japan for the first time in 2005, I was able to find a store that sold vintage Japanese ghetto blasters.
Whoa.
And they had all of the CDs of these underground artists. And so I bought the CDs. I got invited to all of these underground shows. It was awesome. And it was all because of video games.
I can
But
remember
no remake.
I can remember the first time I was in Shibuya. I was like, wait a minute, I've grinded on these.
Yeah, Jet Grind Radio still looks good. I mean, like the original, it looks insane.
Well, speaking of underground boundary pushing music, you said before we started that you're about to be headed off to a extreme metal death match in Yokohama. What's all that about?
That is correct. So I'm going. So one of the venues that I work with, they're having a private caged deathmatch wrestling event. And if you don't know what a deathmatch wrestling match is, those are the really bloody ones with the broken glass and the spiked bats and all of that stuff. So, and it's literally underground in a very tiny little hole in the ground spot out in Yokohama. And it's like I'm taking my girlfriend to it, so I think that it's going to be a pretty spectacular date. And
it's a romantic death match.
well, we're already planning like how to take romantic pictures, but with, you know, some bloodied, pulped, like fucked up wrestler.
Look, honey, I found a tooth.
Yeah, it's not a ring, it's a tooth. Sort of thing. But on that note, I actually do have to get going to the death match because I think it'll take me like 40 minutes to get out there.
Well, we will not keep you away from your death match, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on today.
As ever, thank you guys.
Thank you, Matt.
Talk to you again. See you.
Hey, listeners, that's right. You listener right there.
Who do you think should be our next guest on Tokyo Wave? Let us know. Drop us a line at wave@tokyowave.jp.
We hope you enjoyed Tokyo Wave.
If you haven't already, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Join us again next week on Tokyo Wave.